things off, just want to take a moment and talk about Skunk Fest. This year, we actually have 2 different cities and 3 weekends. So, if you go to skunkfestatx.com, you'll be able to check out the lineups, the dates, and locations. First on the list is San Antonio, Texas, August 21st at Fitzgerald's. Then, right after that, August 26th and 27th at Come and Take It Live here in Austin, Texas. And then a second weekend here in Austin at Empire Control Room on September 5th. Like I mentioned, if you'd like some more information on the lineup, locations, go to skunkfestatx.com. Welcome back to another episode of the Eclectic Soundtrax podcast with Skunk and Vic. Got a real treat on this episode of the podcast. We're joined by Boudreaux Partita and Adam Salinas to talk about the recent documentary, Bloody and Bruised, The Untold Story of the Backroom. If you're new to Austin, you've probably caught a show at some really cool venues around town, one of those being Emo's on East Riverside Drive. But if you've been here for a while, or if you're a true Austin native, then you know about the Backroom. And most likely you have your own story about this place. But do you know the whole story? We had a real blast on this podcast talking with Adam and Boudreaux, uncovering the history of the back room. I've been to a few shows there myself, also drink a lot of beer there. Skunk has definitely been there and played shows as well. So it was a real treat to sit down and talk about the making of this documentary and what made the back room so special.
Hey everybody, we're back. Eclectic Soundtrax, episode 58, we think, with Adam Salinas and Boudreaux, who I'm going to mess up your last name, but Partita. Boudreaux Partita, everybody. I like to do the white boy intro whenever we have.
You sound like my economics teacher.
I don't like that accent for someone teaching economics. And then you go past the Dairy Queen, and it's like $5. You guys, I had talked to John Jew about now the Backroom documentary, and I guess all you guys are working together, and I've never met you guys that I'm aware of. And so tell me a little bit about each of you and how you're working, in what capacity you're working in on this upcoming documentary.
Well, I'm the director and lead producer on the film. I was the one that kind of, a while back, I was working on that documentary. I worked a little bit on the documentary about the Saxon Pub. I don't know if you've heard about that one. That came out a couple years ago. It's called Nothing Stays the Same. Okay. It was a great little documentary about the Saxon Pub. And when I was helping out on that one, I kind of thought, man, I'd really like to do a documentary about the back room. You know, I went there for years, and you know, I loved going there. I lived down the street from it. I used to walk to it. You know, so it was a great location. But mainly what motivated me to create this documentary was I would see all these kids posting, like, they're going to so-and-so show at Emo's East, and they're going to whatever show at Emo's. And a part of me wanted to grab them and say, do you realize the holy ground that that Emo's is located on? Do you realize what shows played here and who has come through here? So a part of me really wanted to kind of really educate a whole new generation of where the backroom was, who it helped, cultivate, and the successes that came out of that place, and how it helped up and coming bands, So a part of me was really just kind of wanting to not let the backroom be forgotten. And that's mainly the main purpose. So, I got with John Jew, we had lunch, and we kind of put together, and this is like maybe 2.5 years ago now. We put together a little laundry list of who we wanted to kind of get involved, and we kind of had it sit on the shelf. And then we kind of would poke at it here and there. But then COVID happened. and we were working on other projects, but when COVID hit, none of the bands were on tour, and a lot of the musicians, they were at home. So we kind of thought, well, this might be kind of a good time to actually make this project happen since everybody's at home, everybody's itching to do something. If we do COVID safe shoots, we can maybe start this. So that's what we ended up doing. And starting in December, we started doing shoots, and one shoot turned into 2 shoots, and 2 shoots turned into 10 shoots. And now we're 40 plus shoots in, and then at the beginning, Adam has been a longtime colleague of mine. He's worked with me for years, and he's got a huge Rolodex, just like John Jew. And, he's got lots of great contacts, especially in the location and bar and entertainment district. So I brought him along as an associate producer. So we've both, between myself, Adam, and, John Jew, we've kind of just have led the boat, kind of steered the boat into how we're shaping the story of the back room. So it's been a really fun adventure so far for the last 6 months now.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, man. I remember, I don't know when you started going to the back room. I moved here in 2004, and Vic and I met in 2005. And actually, the first time we really hung out was at the back room, man, just hanging out. Was there a
Pictures of Ziegenbach.
Was there a patio there?
Yeah, it's
I feel like we were hanging on the patio. But it's been a long time.
There was the showroom, and then there was the bar area, and I think if I remember right, that outdoor patio. It's kind of still there.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe we were having drinks out there. I could be wrong, but
that's right.
But I remember that.
Yeah, towards the end, they kind of took the bar side and they kind of opened it up into a little courtyard area, just exactly like you're talking about. Right. And it had like lattice and everything. So, it was supposed to be a beer garden kind of thing. So, for lack of a better word.
There was something growing back there. For sure.
Yeah, So.
Yeah, man. It was such a bummer that it closed down. I was fortunate enough to play. They had I want to say the date was July 29th, 2007. I could be wrong, but I remember playing the first backroom closing or last show, which was like an all-day big thing, and then all these bands.
Yeah.
And then they did something else after that. It was like, and then all of a sudden there was one more show.
So it was actually July 29th, 2006.
It was 2006.
You got the date right. You got the date right. It was a year before.
Okay.
And but that's when they kind of stopped doing shows, but they didn't officially close the doors till December. But
okay.
So it was around the back room was around for 33 years, I think it was, Adam, right?
Yeah.
So it was around a good long chunk. And part of the documentary that we're showing people is, obviously this wasn't always just a heavy metal bar. This actually started out as a little kind of country hole in the wall.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Watering hole. And actually we interviewed one of the main country duos that started. Actually, they played there for 13 years. When they started in the 70s, and then they stopped playing in the early 80s when they kind of started transition, when Jim Ramsey, who was the GM and Booker there, he was like, well, this hair metal thing is kind of starting to take off, and we got a lot of bikers here. It kind of turned into a biker bar, and so maybe we should start booking kind of like this hair, like these guys that are wearing big hair and makeup stuff, So that's when it kind of transitioned into more of the hair metal days, and then eventually, obviously, the punk and hard rock and all that good stuff. Yeah. So
grunge. Even new metal,
hip-hop.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, like I only got to play there. I mean, I played there I literally didn't start playing. The first show I played there might have been in May or golly. So I must have played there 3 or 4 or 5 times. I don't know. It seemed like several times, but just in that short little window. That's why I was thinking it was 2007, because I joined a band in 2006, and those were the first gigs I played there. But we played there a lot, and there was a great scene. There were always people there. It was all ages. There would be like kids and stuff, and coming up and wanting guitar picks and autographs, and I'm like, I've still never had that coolness happen since then. But it's funny. One of the first guests we had when we started this podcast was Mike Watson from Dangerous Toys.
Yeah,
and he was talking about how the back room was really popping, and that they started. They were like, wow, this hair metal thing's really happening, and meeting Jason McMaster and playing shows back there, and it's just being packed and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's interesting to hear how it kind of transitioned to meet those trends and then really became this iconic rock metal bar. That's interesting already learning that, because I never had it. Did you know that, Vic? I never knew it was anything else but a rock
That was
bar.
definitely a good chunk of it. The metal, the hard rock, for sure. And then the tail-ends.
And then another thing people actually don't realize, and this is something that not a lot of people know at all either, is that the original back room. So you guys are familiar with the area, right? You know,
Yeah.
The original back room was actually down where that Thundercloud subs in that Riverside Liquor. You know that, just down the hill,
Right in that shopping center.
in that
right
shopping
there?
center,
Okay.
right there. That was the original back room.
No shit.
Yeah, and then so eventually in the late 70s, the owner, Ronnie Rourke, he moved it up the hill to where the building is now. And then so that back room, that was called the back room, and right next to it was another bar that was called the Copper Dollar. The Copper Dollar is actually what was considered the game side. The back room was just the music side. And then at one point, they ended up selling the Copper Dollar to the back room, and the back room took over the entire place. So that's why that's why the building was split into two to go into, because one was originally another bar and the other one was just the music side. So
Right. Okay.
we're actually like revealing a lot of information to people that, diehard fans that have gone there for years. That, wow, I never knew that it was any other place, or I never knew it was at a different location, So that's the kind of stuff that we're really kind of delving into, and we're getting a lot of great speakers, a lot of people that were actually there. And the thing is, we have Jason McMaster in the documentary. We have Paul Adele. We have all these people. Even Kevin Fowler, who was at one point, he was part of Dangerous Toys, and so that's kind of like what we've been doing and how we've been telling the story. And even going up to, I think if you guys have seen the trailer, we got John Moyer from Disturbed, who used to play in Union Underground and Soak and stuff at the back room all the time. So, that's kind of that's why we're doing this, so that we can tell kids and then tell a new generation, hey, look where these people came from. This is where a lot of up and coming bands and a lot of established bands, ran through. So that's what we're doing.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. How did you guys initially meet? Adam, so what's your background, and when did you guys get in contact or start working together?
My background with Boudreaux is probably going on almost 20 years. We bumped into each other probably 2003, 2004, off and on. He was doing a popcorn chicken commercial where I worked at Clicks in about 2003, 2004, and some of my friends were in it.
Clicks, like the billiards place?
The billiards on Lamar.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, wow. That's right.
And it was a little too risque, I believe, for television, but I loved it. Anyway.
Sounds like my kind of...
Yeah.
You sound like my kind of guy.
Popcorn chicken shower scene, I believe. That kind of set it off. And then I was going to school. I went to school for film, radio, television, music, film. Also marketing and public relations, and I interned with Boudreaux at Time Warner in 2007, I believe.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, we just kind of just bumped into each other off and on. And I always told him whenever he has something going and he needs any help, I'm there. So
awesome.
And he called me right before Christmas, or he messaged me before Christmas, and it was kind of like an early Christmas present for me.
Very cool. Yeah, so cool you guys are doing it. It's funny because I heard about this through, I want to say I was hanging out, working on some stuff out at Mesa Recording Studios in Del Valley in 333, and Tony Park was there. And
Tony.
And it came up. And yeah, I guess you guys have probably talked to him. I don't know if he's in it and Push Monkey back in the day and all that.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of how it came up. And then I think it's where I got John's name, or referred, through that route somehow. But, and so John, because I don't really know him either, other than the emails we've exchanged. So how's he involved in this?
So John's kind of our lead producer. He's kind of, he's the one that makes a lot of the connections with the artists, the musicians, the staff, because, we interviewed not just the musicians, but the actual people that were there. So, security people, bookers, everybody, bartenders, people that actually were there. So John is a huge, between myself and Adam, we obviously do a lot, but John is obviously a huge part of our trifecta, that he helps coordinate so much with the artist. He helps coordinate so much with our PR, and he overall just kind of makes connections between us filmmakers and the people that we're interviewing. So he's got, Adam has a huge Rolodex. I have a huge Rolodex, but John uses an astronomical Rolodex.
He has a beautiful mind, is what he has.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those guys.
Spider web of like all connections. Like you've seen that billboard.
Yeah.
But I think it's in his head.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen the billboard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's he's the real backbone to this. I mean, I'm kind of like the quarterback that this is my idea. This is what I want to do. I know exactly what it needs to look like. I know exactly what it needs to sound like. John Ju helps me get that content, so that's why it's a part of it.
You guys are currently still shooting material, still gathering stuff. Are you done with that phase, or where are you at in the whole process right now?
We've shot a majority of the interviews. We still have a couple stragglers left. We still have a couple key interviews that we need to shoot. I think we'll probably be wrapped with shooting interviews probably within the next month or so, probably by mid-July, I think, right? So I think that's our goal. After that, we actually go into shooting. Another thing that we're doing is that we're shooting reenactments. So a lot of the bigger stories, a lot of the bigger events that happened at the club, like Dangerous Toys getting signed, and the 2 Live Crew riot. We're going to recreate the 2 Live Crew riot. So we're actually we actually have somebody. We actually are building a stage. We're actually building a bar, and we're shooting all these reenactments of big events that happen in the club, including one of the items, the most famous items from that bar and that space was the pole. The pole that was in the middle of the stage. I actually built that myself, and so it's a part of the reenactments. So yeah, like once we shoot the reenactments, hopefully we'll be done with that by August, and then we'll be going into post-production for a year. And the goal is to have this final cut done by September of 2022, so that way it'll be eligible for 2023 screenings, film festivals, distribution.
Awesome.
So
you hear that, Vic? We're actually going to be able to put a podcast out 2 months late, and it'll still be relevant. Half the shit I booked like crazy, and then we're like, oh, we have like 40 podcasts of in like a few weeks. Not really, but we're just like behind as hell. So I'm like, oh, good. It doesn't matter if this happens in now or July.
Well, the thing about documentaries is that a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of documentaries, they average around 4 to 5 years to produce, if not longer. I'm really trying to get this documentary done in half that time. I'm trying to get it done in 2. So it's pretty ambitious, but I think we can do it. So, my background is TV production. Mm-hmm. I've been working in TV for 20 plus years, 23 years. And in the world of TV production, you have to learn how to shoot quickly, edit quickly, and turn stuff around quickly. So I'm used to shooting, and that's why we got a trailer together so quickly. That's why we were able to put together teasers and posters and all these different things, because I was so used to doing the quick turnaround. So, but it's also good because our followers, all the fans that we have that are now paying attention to us, they really want to see content all the time. They really want to see, hey, what's going on this week? Who are you guys interviewing this week? And that's kind of what we've been doing is we shoot something, we show people, hey, check out what we're doing. And, more coming soon. Stay tuned. So
where do people find that on, is there a production company website, obviously social media stuff? Where's the best place for people to find out information about this project and see updates?
We have our main page on Facebook. It's at facebook.com/Bloody Bruised Backroom. And on there, you can find photos, behind the scenes photos, obviously the trailer, the poster, lots of great stuff on there. But it's facebook.com/Bloody Bruised Backroom.
Okay. And what's your, is there some sort of like production company thing between you guys, or what is the whole?
Yeah, I have my own production company. It's called Penny Rock Productions.
Penny Rock. Okay.
Yeah. My company name is Penny Rock Productions. So I started that maybe, almost 10 years ago now. And it was mainly kind of to dabble in client commercials, music videos, online deals, short films, that kind of deal. But so this is I've been involved with a lot of features. I've worked on a lot of other films, but this is personally my first feature length film
you've done,
that I've personally done. So, but I think it's a great one to start with.
Absolutely, man. Certainly for anyone who lives in Austin or knows anything about the history of Austin, it's like very exciting to I remember hearing about it and I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. Because I mean, there's so much history there and so much, and not already just talking to you guys for 20, 30 minutes, I've already learned stuff.
Yeah. It's a great project, and it's funny because when we tell people about it, at first we had to be quiet about it for a long time because we obviously had to hold it real close to the chest. But when we actually finally got our press release out saying that, hey, Penny Rock Productions is doing this documentary about the back room, when we tell people about it and we see their eyes light up and they have a big smile on their face and they're like, oh my God, that's a great, why didn't I think of that? That's the number one thing I always hear. Why didn't I think of that? And so it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. And I think a lot of people are really passionate about that place because it was a community, it was a place of acceptance, and a lot of people really loved it, and a lot of people have invested years of their lives into the back room. And that's why we have a pretty big following now. And and I've always joked, what started off as a small little project like this, has now kind of ballooned into this huge thing where now we have all these eyeballs on us, and and it's a great thing. It's a scary thing. It's nerve-wracking, but it's great nonetheless.
And then, like you were saying, so you're going to shoot for film festivals in 2023. I mean, obviously there's Sundance. Is that the big one in Utah?
Yeah,
am I wrong?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple.
I know there's a ton of them. I don't know much about that.
There's festivals all over the place, and there's big ones there's big ones here in the country. There's also big ones all over the world. I mean, one of the big ones is obviously Tribeca, Sundance, Cannes Film Festival. That's in I think France, right?
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
But obviously we're going to aim to get a South by.
Right. Yeah.
That'd be great. It'd be great to get a South by. It kind of seems like it's really appropriate. It's an Austin-based story. Austin-based film festival. So, but it's never guaranteed with South by. I will say that. But I'm pretty confident we'll have a pretty good festival run. And we're definitely going to have like theatrical screenings for sure. That's already kind of a done deal. So
awesome.
And then after the film festival circuit, we're going to see about we're already in talks about a streaming distribution as well, besides the DVD Blu-ray distribution.
Very cool. Yeah.
All that is in the works. I know it seems like a long time away, but you actually have to talk about it now and plan it.
No, I
now
understand
because that's how budgets work. So, yeah.
What's the difference between, because most guys I know, or most independent film directors, people getting started, they obviously do make short films, and I imagine there's a lot of. Is there a particular time that defines or splits a short film between a feature, like usually EP, LP kind of? Is there a very specific?
It's usually defined by the 45-minute mark. Anything under the 45-minute is considered a short. Anything over 45 is considered a feature. So that's kind of layman's terms, rule of thumb. Some festivals are different than others. But that's kind of what it is, sort of.
And when you're doing like this kind of stuff you're talking about, what you said is still kind of a ways in the future. But I mean, it seems like, is it? I experienced this a little bit just in music, and like people are like, oh, if you're really like shopping around to try to like get to the next tier or do some serious stuff, it's like people are like, oh, well, I need an album, right? Or it's something like that. Do you feel, is it the same in film where it's like there's more opportunity or more, or like with streaming and stuff, right? Because you don't see like a lot of short films, I don't think. So is it more? Is there more opportunity, you think, with that as a feature length, or does it matter?
It's actually more difficult because, especially in the world of music, and especially in this documentary, because it is a music documentary and there's lots of, musical cuts and tracks in it. The one thing that separates a feature from a short that's very different and it's kind of time consuming and kind of a pain in the ass is all the minutia of legal. So like, especially with music rights, you have to clear, like we're using tracks from Dangerous Toys. So we have to get the rights to Teasin' and Pleasin' from Sony, Columbia. They want to know, well, how much of the song are you going to be using? Are you going to be using 15 seconds, 30 seconds? And if so, are you going to be using it in the title? Are you going to be using it in the film? Are you going to be using it in the trailers? Are you going to be using any marketing material? Okay, we've established what you're going to do with the film. After that, we need to talk about distribution rights. So are you going to use it exclusively for home video, streaming services? So like all the legal jargon that I can't stand, that's a big part of the film process that, people really think, oh man, we're making a movie. It's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot more than that. There's a lot of work and,
what a movie, yeah. I think it's the same as music, but exponentially even more grand because you got entire crews. I mean, a studio. You make an album, you got a few guys in a studio, and it takes forever. And there's all kinds of things you would never think about. But anyone who's like, oh, that sounds so cool, I want to go to. Then they're like in the studio, like bored as fuck because it's just oh my god, this is so boring. And in a movie, like being on just various shoots and movie sets, it's the same thing. You're standing around, you're trying to get this right, get that right. I mean, there's all these factors that have to work together. And then once you get that, and then you do this many, many times, and then once you get and then there's the editing, and then like you said, and then the syncing, the audio, the music, the licensing, the this, so that's just this seemingly endless process of stuff. I can only imagine the complexity of actually running that, of getting it all.
And like 4 years probably.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so that's why, like a lot of people, they get kind of caught in the limelight of like, oh, I'm a part of this film and it's great. Yeah, because you're showing up for 2 days and then you're gone. You
film their one scene in a feature length, and like 3 days later, like, hey man, when's the movie going to be out?
Oh yeah, we get a ton of people asking us, when's this going to be coming out? And I'm like, well, we're shooting for 2023. Like, man, that's going to take forever. And I'm like, dude,
have you ever seen a movie?
I know. It's like, it's not a simple process, And don't get me wrong, I'm a quick editor, but I ain't that fucking quick, So it's a big undertaking, that's for sure. It's a big challenge, and the biggest challenge that definitely I'm going to face, because I'm not only the director and the producer, but I'm also the writer and editor. I'm the lead editor on this film.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Is that we're trying to wedge 33 years of history into a solid 2-hour movie. And because, we've had a couple people ask us, well, you should make a series of this. And I'm like, dude, I don't have that kind of time or budget, unless this gets picked up by Netflix, I'm not doing that. And so what I know how to work with, the years of production experience that I have, and Adam can attest to this, I've learned the workarounds. I've learned what works and what's most efficient. And I could in theory put this together very quickly. But for this audience, this lends itself more to a solid 2-hour film, that our audience, our demographic would love to go to a theater. They go in, they watch it, they leave, and they go to the bar and they have a couple drinks and they talk about it, they're not going to be committed to watching it over and over and over again as a series and that kind of thing. So that's why we're making it into a 2-hour film. But that's also the biggest challenge is right now we have 40 plus interviews. That's 40 some hours. Yeah. That's not counting the 150 plus hours of band footage that I have,
Wow.
So to condense all of that into one film, there's definitely a challenge there. So now I happily accept that, but it's definitely a challenge, which is why it's going to take a little bit of a time, everybody. So,
just talking about, splitting these things, and it's a big popular thing now. I guess some with music documentaries, particularly serial killer documentaries, which seems to be the most popular fucking thing ever. Clearly, you're a fan. I always get roped into the goddamn things, even though I'm like, I don't want to. And then I've seen them all. But Vic and I have talked about some of those on here. And you better just know that you're not going to sleep that night when you start one of those fuckers, because then you just basically end up watching 4 to 6 hours of thing. Yeah.
I love those.
And they're done really well. And I watch that because I like watching the things, and just you think about all that goes into that and the production, all the shots and the editing. And it's huge. And to think that is an intensive, huge process. And you're talking about 2 hours, like you said. If that was a docuseries, man, you're dealing with 6-8 hours of material. That's crazy. That's a lot of time.
I'm friends with one of the directors of the Son of Sam.
I just started watching that.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah.
I really love the way that he did that. But the one that I really, really love is the Night Stalker one.
I knew you were going to say that. That's Vic's favorite.
The Night
It's done really well. Yeah,
I love.
It's got some cool 80s music.
Yeah, not only that, you know what I really love? I love their reenactments. I love how they show the crime scene and the camera kind of flies into the room and then it kind of goes above the bed and then it kind of lowers down. And I was talking to one of my editor friends that lives in LA that she actually works with Netflix. And I'm like, how the fuck did they make this? How did they do that? She's like, dude, you have no idea what kind of budget they had to make, the After Effects budget that they had just to recreate those scenes. So, obviously, there's a lot of work that goes into that, but they look beautiful. But to get back to your point, I totally agree. I love all those docuseries about the serial killers. I love the Ted Bundy one. I love the Son of Sam one. And I love the Night Stalker one. But I can totally get sucked into all those.
Yeah.
That creepy hotel one was a pretty good one too.
I like that one too.
That was good. They did a good job of the Cecil Hotel.
Cecil Hotel.
And they did a good job of leaving you with cliffhangers on that one, where you're like, fuck, all right, I have to watch the next one.
It's like, she OD'd, right? She fucking OD'd, right? Like, she OD'd.
I kind of figured it out, or I had a sense of it from the get-go, but then, they would do certain things where you're like, oh, holy shit, this fucking crazy dude killed her? No, he didn't do anything. He just ruined his life. That's all. Just fucking internet. What do they call them? Yeah. These internet
web sleuths.
Web sleuth. Get a fucking life, dude. Come on.
the keyboard warriors.
Oh, dude, another one a while back I got sucked into, and oh man, I feel like a rant's coming, Vic. I'm sorry. It's just, look.
Oh, now I want to know.
I get the entertainment value, but I have no sympathy. I'm not one of these rehabilitation people. If you're a convicted serial killer, fuck you, man. Die, fucker. I hate that these fucks still go to this fucking Night Stalker guy goes to prison and just sits around until he dies of fucking cancer. Should have killed that fucker immediately anyway. I'll get off. There was a point to this, and I lost it. I don't know what I'm yapping about. There was something in there before. Maybe it was that one. Oh, yeah, these web sleuths, dude. It's ruin. Oh, now I know what it was. Another one. Did you ever see that? Because I was like, I wish they'd kill this fucking guy, but he's in Canada, and they're all too nice up there. The fucking Cats one. Don't fuck with cats.
Yes!
That motherfucking sick bastard. Jesus Christ. Oh,
that was also
very well done.
Very well done.
And that's actually an example of web sleuths doing right,
doing good.
Yeah, props to those fucking people, man. They were like, we're gonna get this sick bastard, and they finally did.
that was also a very well done one. I like that
for sure.
Yeah, and now he's sitting in a Canadian prison, oh, sorry, fucker.
and then they brought back unsolved mysteries.
Yeah, we were talking about that too.
I kind of dig. I know a lot of people I know that gets a lot of shit, but you know what? I kind of like it, because I guess
like it too.
Yeah.
You know what? I guess because maybe we're all around the same age and we remember the actual original show, and and that's the thing about a lot of people, especially in the film world, and it happens a lot sometimes in the music world. So I think you guys can understand it, where something new is happening, and you get people that just and they shit on it online, so. Right. You know, it happens a lot in the film world, especially with like, and not to say that.
Anytime you remake a movie, you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's
That's what I'm saying.
Why are they doing that?
Why are they doing that? You know, what the fuck are they thinking? And don't get me wrong, I do that sometimes too. I just don't do it publicly. But, you know, I don't feel the need to go and declare to a whole bunch of people that this is wrong, you know, because somebody decided to remake something. But that's the reason is, I think that's why a lot of it's getting done, because filmmakers now, like, that are our age, they remember those series, they remember those TV shows, and they remember those films. So they want to, like, I want to do that myself, because now they're the age that they can actually go out and do it. And,
absolutely.
You know, and so that's why it doesn't bug me so much that, you know, I kind of like the Unsolved Mysteries remake. You know, it's pretty well done. I kind of think, and I love watching those fucking crime docuseries. I watch those all the fucking time.
They're always well done, I will say.
I mean, if they're really well done, then they're I'm all about them, man. So, because most of the time, if I'm watching Netflix or any streaming or even films, I mean, if it's not horror related, or it's I'm watching a docuseries, or a documentary, and you know, for me, it's all research. You know, I'm studying. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at how did somebody do something. You know, and one of my favorite and one of my favorite docuseries that I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, and that I've kind of told my crew about, is called Dark Side of the Ring. Have you guys heard of that? It's about all these kind of weird stories and all these back dramatic stories that happen in the professional wrestling world.
Okay.
And so, like, it would tell, like, the backstory of, like, what really happened with Macho Man and what really happened with all these other wrestlers and the Montreal Screwjob and stuff like that. But I really love the way that they do their reenactments, and the way that they do them is a direct influence on the way that I'm doing my reenactments for my documentary, you know? And I know when Adam, right? Like, you've seen them, like how,
you sent it to
like,
me. I watched that. I've been watching also the bios.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, and not to say that, you know, I'm not saying, hey, you guys got to watch this story about wrestling. What I'm saying is, look at their techniques, look at their styles, look at their skill sets. Check out how they're doing this. You know, I send it to my crew. We have a Facebook page that's strictly for my crew for the documentary. Every once in a while, I go on there and I post something where I get it online, or I find something cool, or I'm like, hey, check out the way that they did this, guys. I really like the lighting that they did here. I really like the way that they did these shots. You know, check out how they used fog in the background. You know, just stuff like that. And so I'm a film kid, man. So I'm a big geek. I'm a film geek. And so I'm always learning. I'm always constantly, you know, absorbing films, and whether they be documentaries or horror films or fucking unsolved mysteries, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It's the people, it's the people that they go out and they say, you know what? I'm buying a camera and I'm buying a laptop with Adobe Premiere and Photoshop, and I'm a producer now, you know? And I'm like, dude, there's a lot more to it than that, you know? You got to do the research. You got to do the work, you know? You got to have the passion, you know? It's not all just showing up, making a movie, and all of a sudden you're making thousands of dollars from distribution and blah, 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 and you're a star and all that stuff. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So it's a big thing. And that's why I'm really passionate about filmmaking and production overall.
Yeah, I think that's so huge for any medium, and especially in the arts. Like, I mean, it kind of seems obvious when you're as an athlete. You know, what a guy like us wouldn't just go like, I'm going to go play football tomorrow. But for some reason, like, anyone who gets a guitar or a camera is like, I'm a audit, or I'm I'm a producer, I'm a photographer. No, you're not, because these are crafts that have science behind them, that have years of theory and practice and all. And so anybody, I think it's a responsibility of any artist in any of these mediums to do your research. As a musician, like, always listening and keeping an open mind and wanting to hear new things and get new ideas. And it's absurd if someone's like, oh, I only listen to this. Or like, if you're like, I only watch serial killer documentaries. Well, you're not really broadening your horizons in terms of, like, you know, other ideas that. So yeah, man, I think that's one of the greatest things. And I think most great artists are always doing that. They're always wanting to, you know, keep increasing their knowledge and just learn, you know. The
number one pitfall, and especially in this field, in the world of filmmaking and the world of production, is the number one pitfall that I've come across, from friends, colleagues, coworkers, that happens is when you stop learning, you get stale. And when you get stale,
lazy.
You lose your viewership, you lose your audience, you lose your clients, whoever it may be. If you get stale, you cannot get stale. So that requires constant learning. It requires constant, staying abreast of technology. I know that's a big one that people hate.
Yeah.
I got to learn this new software.
No one wants to use look, I hate every second of it. And everyone's like, oh, I don't use social media. Well, that must be nice because you kind of have to, right? Like, all this shit. Like, if you were like, oh, I don't like Adobe Premiere, or, well, what are you going to do? Edit with your hands? I mean, or I don't cut. You're going to cut. It's like guys with tape machine. What are you going to do? Cut film and shit? I mean, maybe you actually do that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how this works on real, movies and stuff, but like, exactly, dude. You're right. Technology is probably the biggest thing of all because it's just exponentially moving. Speaking of what you mentioned Premiere, Afterburner effect. So, what do you use specifically? Or, I mean, you probably have a bunch of different things, but
no. I mean, I don't mind saying it. I'm an Adobe kid. I use Adobe After Effects and Adobe Premiere and Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator and all that stuff because it's it's all bundled together. But the thing is, I've evolved over the years, over 20 plus years of production. So I started off tape to tape. I started off when the cameras had, the very first camera I used was an umbilical deck. It had an umbilical deck. So in other words, it had a big, huge, like not just VCR deck, it was a 3/4 tape deck that you would lug on a shoulder, and then the camera had an umbilical cord that connected to the deck, and you would have to lug that around to record stuff, Mm-hmm. So I started off tape to tape. I started off, how they did back in the 70s, So I've gone through the linear phase, and then I transitioned into nonlinear back in the early 2000s, and I forced myself to learn Avid and Final Cut and Media 100 and Pinnacle and stuff, so that because at this point, once you know how to edit, when it comes to editing, once you know how to edit, it's just a matter of application. If you know how to, I know how to cut on the beat. I know how to use transitions. I know how to color correct. I know how to do this. It's all just a matter of, well, how do I do it in this certain program? It's just, and it's the same thing with music. If you know how to play the guitar. Well, you know how to play the guitar. How do I play it on? How do I play guitar on this guitar, or how do I play this?
Samsung phone or Apple phone. It's like,
yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of application.
Right. Yeah, the basics are the same. The fundamentals are the same.
Yeah. But if you edit for shit, then that's worthless.
I'm one of those guys that like I do. It's kind of I do some stuff myself because I can, and its budget makes more sense. So I'm not putting. But it's also, even if I was like a great engineer and a great musician and a great editor and videographer, which I'm none of those, but like, even if you can't do it all anyway. You have to have a team. You have to outsource, and it's like, so I think it's like anything. You learn skills, or you at least kind of know what's going on. I can navigate around in these DAWs. I can navigate around a little bit in Adobe Premiere, and I actually really like getting creative and putting a video together, but I would never be like, hey, let me go do a pro video for, because it's like, I realize like there's so, like, even when you say like color correct, I'm like, and anyone in film I've talked to, that always comes up, and I'm like, what is that again? Explain color correction for guys like me that are like, what is that? What is this?
Color
some like
correction.
Final? Is that like mastering for movies? Like a final
basically,
sprinkle? Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, there's color grading and color correcting. Color grading is kind of like when you see a night scene. And you see people at night, and they're out like in the woods, and you notice that it's kind of bluish, and like that's color grading. Or people are in some kind of dungeon scene, and there's fire, so it's kind of reddish, and like that's color grading. You're kind of coloring the picture to set the mood, to establish tone, to establish atmosphere. Color correction is depending on the kind of camera, a lot of fuck ups happen on set. That's just what happens, right. So you have to white balance stuff. You have to color correct. So you usually use chip charts so that you can try to get the colors of everything that you shot to the actual 100% neutral zone. So in other words, so white looks like white, the color white, black looks like the color black, yellow looks like the color yellow, red looks like the color. So you're actually correcting the color of the footage. So that's the difference. So that's what that means, color correcting. So most of it all depends on the film or the project or whatever it is. So that was kind of a long-winded answer.
No, that's cool, man. I mean,
that's what it means.
I imagine it's, like I said, like making a song or an album, but just exponentially more factors.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, you get all the footage and then you go to the editing and then you go to like, now all this has to be kind of a seamless thing and also look cohesive and all that kind of stuff, And
it's, and the thing is that with any art project, I mean, whether it be a film or a song or a painting or anything that you create, you could, I mean, we all know that you can nitpick to it to forever, you can say, well, I could always add a little bit more of this, or I could always, what if I actually move these frames here? What if I actually colored this, thing up a little bit more, it's one of those things where at one point you have to like let it go and just say, all right, it's done, whether it be a song or whether it be a film or whether it be a painting on the wall or whatever, but as artists, you always get caught into that little kind of conundrum of, is it done? It's done, right? I think it's done. And then you wake up in the middle of the night. I think I got one thing I got to
asking your friend for like the 8th time, like, hey, and they're like, dude, it seriously doesn't sound any different than it did 8 times ago to my ears.
Exactly.
You're insane.
Exactly. So you get it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I definitely get it.
Oh, yeah.
Vic knows too. Well, Vic's kind of like put his toe in the pond with the podcast editing stuff, but
yes,
I've managed.
Did you just drop my vocal track in, just tweak it just a little bit?
Well, I found out by starting this podcast that I hate my voice, so I'm sorry. I was like, Vic, put this one that I tried to make myself sound more manly in. I mean, you guys, that's the first thing you said when we got on here about Vic's voice. It just sounds perfect.
Oh yeah, man, you got that trailer voice.
I'm gonna try putting on a clutch hat. I think maybe that is the key.
It's a clutch hat. Yeah,
that's it.
Speaking of clutch, this poster here, this show poster. Both Skunk and I went to this show, and it was at the new Emos, right? So
nice.
Talk about the back room. Yeah,
very cool.
But that's from that show.
I can't see it very well, but what's the year on that? Probably like 2014.
Yeah, right. Sounds somewhere in there.
I think so. It was the Strange Cousins from the West album.
Oh man, I haven't seen Clutch since the Austin Music Hall days.
Oh,
it's a pinball machine with a gear shift right in the middle, so it's kind of cool.
That is cool.
I think was that the show they played? Did they play with COC? Didn't we just talk about this and I already forgot? I don't know.
Did they play with? No. That was the show before
with Mastodon.
This year, because it was. They had like a local band.
Oh, that was the one where there was like a contest or something, and a local band got to open. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah.
Oh wow, like a real battle of the bands kind of thing.
Hell, it might have even been 2.
Yeah.
I think all the openers were locals. I think it was. I can't remember who the. Now that I think about it, I could be wrong, but I want to say there was a band. I can't think what their name was, and then that band Amplified Heat played. I think, but I might be wrong.
Yeah. Well, that was the first show that I went to where I actually stepped back into what used to be the back room. Now, it was Emos now, but that was the first show that I went to, and I'm like, oh, they did this here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's quite
changed this. Yeah.
Quite different.
Pole still there.
The pole's still there. Yeah, the pole's still there.
Interesting. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, I'm glad that it reopened as something like legit and cool, and then just become some
condos.
Condos. Right? No kidding.
Yeah,
right? Or Chipotle.
Nothing corporate, please. Jeez.
I'm not knocking Chipotle for the Chipotle people. I'm just saying,
I think John Ju loves Chipotle, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's a big Chipotle guy.
Look, hey, Chipotle's food is great, but there was I don't know. There were so many goddamn reality shows and on every network, but Food Network. There was a show one time. Maybe it's still running, but this was one of the earlier seasons. I don't even remember how long ago this was now. And there was some kind of contest of people, blah, blah. I can't remember. But I just remember the judges or the people that had teams. One of them was the owner of Chipotle. He just rubbed me wrong. It's kind of a weird dude. Their food's badass though.
Weird like one of the web sleuths on the Cecil Hotel. Remember the one that was really like obsessed with the girl?
Yeah, just weirdos, man. Like weirdos.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to
Super
throw
weird.
anybody under the bus, but like it's one of those things where I guess I'll never get a sponsorship from Chipotle. Oh darn, or Subway, because what I'm about to say is like he's the kind of guy you look at, and you're like, oh, where's our kid? You know what I mean? Like he's like, and then for years I'm rant coming. I remember those Subway commercials with that Jared guy, and I was like, I don't fucking like this guy, dude. I don't like the way this guy looks. And then it turns out he's this like fucking pedophile. And I'm just like, dude, Subway, for real. Like, what fucking idiot made that marketing decision? Like, went like, this weirdo. Let's make this weirdo our spokesperson. I don't know.
Pass it around the room, guys.
I'm sorry. This is just what I do. I get angry. I become angry old white guy on our podcast from time to time. It just happens.
No, I dig it. It happens, man.
You should make a documentary after this one called "Angry Old White Guys." I'll be happy to start. It'll just be one long interview with me. You end up with like 8 hours of footage from one interview. You're like, God, this fucking guy is so angry.
And Vic, you can just introduce the whole thing like, let's talk disco.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one will watch it after that anyway. They'll just like all the chicks will just have an orgasm to Vic's voice and then turn it off. A couple of like old angry white guys will watch the whole thing. Yeah, me too. I hate everything.
We can reenact the rants that you've had.
There's been a lot of them.
That's awesome.
Let's talk about influences for you guys. What made you want to get into this, into film? Like, what were some of your favorite movies, directors, stuff like that?
I grew up. I made my first film when I was 14 years old. I knew as soon as I picked up a camera when I was, 13, 12, 11, 13, I was like, this is what I want to do. I mean, I had watched movies. My parents, they were, great parents and all, but for the longest time, all I told them is I just want to go, to the video store. I just want to see what movies they have. I just want to watch movies, so I loved doing the whole Friday night VHS thing,
Yeah.
I missed that so much.
Yeah.
And so, that was a huge part of my upbringing, was just watching film after film. And then, I kind of remember, really falling in love with horror films. So like my father, he took me and my brother to Sears when I was like 6 years old, and he bought me Night of the Living Dead for 99 cents on VHS. And my brother and I wore the shit out of that tape.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was great. And so I loved watching horror films, especially VHS, and especially in the 80s and stuff like that. It was just amazing. Mm-hmm. So I always, a part of me when I was a kid was like, I want to do this. I want to make movies. And so I luckily, when I went to school for it, I was able to get a job in TV production. So, I kind of really kicked ass when it came to like trying to, I started off as an intern. So I really tried to set myself apart by trying to do a lot of the same work that other editors were doing, So I really try to go above and beyond to like, hey, yeah, I'll try to learn how to shoot this. I'll try to learn how to edit this. I'll do this. I was basically, an unpaid employee. I was doing other employees' work for no pay because I wanted to learn how to do it. And so I did that for a while when I was 17 years old. And then I actually got hired as an editor when I was 18. So all that time was, throughout that time was when I was watching and studying film and then collecting VHS tapes and then eventually collecting DVDs, when I went into film school, it was kind of just, wait a minute, are you telling me the assignment is we got to watch Sunset Boulevard on a big ass screen in front of an auditorium? That's the assignment? Well, fuck yeah, let's do it. That was amazing to me. I never failed a film class in film school because it was always fun to me. It came second nature to me. So, it was always something that I was really passionate about. And even all these years later, now that I've been doing it professionally for 23, 4, 25 years almost, I'm one of those lucky people that gets to say, I love going to work every day because every day is different. And, I shoot with all types of people all the time. And it's never boring. and I just love it, you know. So it's one of those things where, you know, I love watching a movie at night, and I fall in love with the genre all over again, whether it be a fucking Japanese samurai film, or whether it be an Italian gangster film, or whether it just be a schlocky 80s horror film. I love watching, I love learning, and that's what really influences me to try to do what I do when I do my stuff, you know? So as far as like influences, man, I mean, George Romero was a huge influence on me. George Romero, who made the original Night of the Living Dead, Creep Show, Dawn of the Dead, all that. Martin Scorsese, you know, gotta love him. I love him. Francis Ford Coppola, he's amazing. Akira Kurosawa, I love Kurosawa stuff, man. I love Japanese film. I have right next to me, you can't see it, but like right here next to me, I have a whole shelf of all these foreign Japanese films and Colombian films and all this other stuff that I just love absorbing that. My wife gets so upset sometimes because she's like, "Are you watching another fucking Japanese movie?" and I'm like, and my son kind of digs it. He's like, "Hey, we're watching a samurai film. It's cool." You know, and you know, he digs it. You know, he loves Toshiro Mifune, so it's like he loves watching these old Japanese films. I love watching them too. So because again, I'm learning, and so many of today's films come from those films. You know, you have to learn from your past predecessors. You have to learn, and that's in any art form. It doesn't matter if you're a musician or a filmmaker or whatever. You know, you name anybody, what anybody's passionate about, they know who their predecessors were, and they know who the big boys that came out of that art form are and who they were. You know, so for me personally, I mean, I love those guys. I love Coppola, Scorsese, Romero, Kurosawa, David Fincher. You know, I mean, Billy Wilder. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on, but you know, I just love the art form, and it's always been something that I've been really passionate about. And like I said, my background is television. My day-to-day job is television production, you know, but I always try to have it be influenced by the art of film and how to make something look, you know, high dollar, and how to make something look cinematic is what I guess I'm trying to get to. Because I work with clients all the time that, you know, they have a budget of $3,000, you know, but they want George Lucas effects, and they want they want it to look like $300,000, you know. So that's my challenge: is how am I going to make that happen for the client, you know, to have them come back later on. So yeah, man, it's just one of those things where, you know, I know that was kind of a long answer, but I'll wrap it up with this. It's all about sight, sound, motion, and emotion, right? And it's my job to manipulate those things for the audience. How am I going to manipulate those? So that's what I do in a nutshell: sight, sound, motion, emotion.
What about you, Adam? What kind of stuff got you into this line of work?
Well, I've always kind of been, I grew up the way, like, kind of like Cable Guy would say, like the babysitter. You know, I was always in front of a television. So if I'm not watching Price is Right or Young and the Restless with my grandma, and I'm you know, making the channel go from, you know, 2 to 48 to try to squeeze in some Showtime or Playboy or whatever. And then
the old squiggly line.
Yeah, the old squiggly line effect.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Skinamax.
My I'm like, I don't know. I don't get really into this. I don't know. I guess you could say I really like really good movies, but I also like really shitty movies too. And
oh yeah.
So and everybody always talks about, Adam, you know all this about this, and I'm like, well, I'm talking about Meatballs and like Meatballs 2, The Alien. You know, please, these aren't award-winning movies.
Classic 80s, yeah.
That's the stuff I like, and I think I really love dramatic movies, and I love movies that make you laugh, cry, feel the emotion, like Boudreaux said. And you have to go through all that in a film, and if you don't, then I'm not really into it. Yeah, and I was like, what you were talking about, the stale chip, you know, or getting stale earlier, and I felt like I was kind of getting stale until Boudreaux gave me a call. You know, I'm a postman, right? So I'm not dealing with any of this stuff anymore. It's been like almost, I don't know, 20 years since I've made short films, you know, and that was like 2004. Okay,
Wow.
so we're going like almost 20 years that I haven't really touched any of this equipment. So every time I join him, I'm learning every day. Just like he was talking about, it's a learning process, and I'm there to learn. When he called me, I was like, I'm ready. I want to do this. I'm ready to learn. And if I don't know, I'm gonna learn it. And then every day something new, and it's very something I love to do. I don't have to get paid for it. It's something I just enjoy. I also remember Texas Chainsaw Massacre, watching it when I was 5. That's not something a 5-year-old should probably see.
You guys had interesting parents. They were
Yeah,
like,
well, they left me alone a lot.
no wonder you love serial killer documentaries.
You know, and I just remember taking like a bath, and it was like 80s lighting in the bathroom. Bathroom was like red. I don't know what it was. It's like it just looked like straight out of a horror flick, like when a guy's peeling his face off in like Poltergeist.
Yeah,
That lighting.
yeah.
So I was like screaming at the top of my lungs, for my mom, after watching Texas. That.
It's funny how those kind of movies will like for me anyway. I remember my parents telling me when the Thriller video came out, I ran and hid behind the couch.
I got a
For
Thriller.
fucking
I love
Thriller,
that.
for God's
I
sake.
got a Thriller
And I used to be
story.
like terrified of like Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger and shit. And nowadays I'm just like, wow, that is so ridiculous and hilariously cheesy. Just teenagers getting murdered in weird ways for having sex at a lake house or whatever the hell.
Yeah,
But
that's
like,
the way they all started.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
But I mean,
spear
I
to
was
the
like
head.
afraid of that. Yeah.
My mom told me I used to have to get dropped off at kindergarten, first grade, listening to Thriller, and I had to wait till the end, right? So Vincent Price, the laugh,
The
you had to wait for the
terrifying laugh.
Yeah, but it
Yes.
took like 6 minutes, right? 7 minutes if you listen to the whole thing. And then I had
Yeah.
to jump out of the window like Dukes of Hazzard, and it wasn't going to happen any other way. So just things like that. I mean, I've
80s
always
kid
I've
right
always
there.
been in the TV, and I've always been in the film, and I've always talked about it, and it's part of my life. Music as well, very much so. So, and it just you put them all together. That's what we're doing right now.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, I grew up as a metal kid, and I kind of transitioned into a punk kid. And, ever since then, I've kind of, would dabble in both. And that's kind of why I started going to the back room in the first place was I moved here in 99. And that's when I literally lived on the same street as the back room. So I'd lived with all the college kids, and I would walk down the hill and go in there. And it was like a place that like, wow, you're playing like heavy metal music here? Like, this is awesome. Like, there's bands that play heavy metal music. This is amazing, So it was kind of a no-brainer when I was like, man, this would be a great idea for a documentary because it's not only film, it's not only a documentary film, which I really love the genre of documentary, but it's also a kick-ass subject about killer music and you get to learn something along the way, kind of thing. So that's kind of why, I knew that Adam was a huge music nut as well. That's why I brought him on board. And I remember telling John G that I'm like, yeah, Adam, you're not going to be disappointed with having Adam on board because he not only has the connections, but he's actually passionate about it as well. And that's why we all work together and we're all around the same age. And another thing is, somebody asked us the other day, well, why you guys? Why are you guys actually doing this film? As opposed to somebody else. And I said, well, because we were there, we were at the back room. We used to go to the back room. We know exactly what it was like. And I know exactly what we need to do as far as from a filmmaking standpoint to tell the story of it. And John Ju's the one that's helping me, make the connections to make that happen. Adam's the one that's helping me find venues to shoot and helping coordinate other, artists and staff. And so between us three, we have the ability and we have the connections and the means to make this documentary happen. So that's why we're doing it, So because we actually are passionate about it, not just film, not just the project, but the back room itself.
Yeah, man, that right there in of itself, I think is probably one of the biggest and most important aspects to any project. I mean, it got to be something you care about, you're passionate about, something a story you really want to tell. I mean, if you're just sort of like a hired gun and you're like, okay, what's the deal with this place? Never heard of it. Da da da. I feel like, yeah, you could still make a great film as a professional, I suppose, but I mean, it's just when there's an excitement and a passion about it to specifically tell the stories, especially since it's something you personally lived and know well, like. That's right off the bat. It seems like really good
also
for
like,
the project, right off.
Well,
away.
what's funny is that half our crew half our crew are younger kids. They're in their 20s or early 30s and stuff. So they weren't around when the back room was around, or they weren't alive when the back room was around. And so they're learning as we do these shoots. They're learning about the back room, and they now tell us, wow, I've now learned this and this and this and this and this. So and that's just them being at shoots, sitting in on interviews. So it's working. In other words, it's working. Like, they're actually learning stuff. You know what I mean? So they're actually learning stuff from Jason McMaster, and they're actually learning, stuff from these interviews that we're shooting. So it's not just fluff. It's actually they're actually learning something about a place, about an establishment that was here before them, or they weren't here at the time, And so that is a really great feeling when Adam and I and John Ju go home and we talk to the crew later on, either online or via text or however, and they say, man, that was a really great shoot. I really learned a lot about whatever about the back room, and I really learned a lot about the culture, about the people, or even sometimes I had no idea there were so many drugs there. It's all encompassing, and it's all, it's a great thing.
The spotless, immaculate bathrooms.
Yes, the bathrooms. It's one of those things where we're trying to get photos of the back room bathrooms, and we're trying to tell people, hey, can anybody help us out? And they're like, nobody had photos of the bathrooms. Come on, man.
Am I wrong, or was there some point in time or something when the men's bathroom to that place? And I'll do everything I can to avoid, shitting in public, like most sane people, I would assume.
No stalls for sure.
but there was no doors. Is that what you just said?
No, yeah,
no doors. So Vic, right? So remember the band Dave's Not Here, Vic? Yeah. Probably because we used to play. Quarter Shack used to play with them, and they were, we played I think several shows at Backroom with them. But I remember Adam, their guitar player, one time there was just a great story about someone walking in the bathroom, and he was just standing there at the stall, standing up, shitting, because it's no way I'm sitting on this fucking
either.
toilet.
No seat.
What the hell, man? Yeah.
And the back room was also popular, and everybody remembers. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was the pee trough, the huge pee trough that they would just pour the buckets of ice at the
old
beginning of
emos had that thing too. Ugh, I hate those things. Yeah.
It was, and then every once in a while there'd be that guy that just drank too much, and he would just fall into the fucking trough.
Jesus H Christ!
So they just piss around.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even wake them up.
You know what, man? So, I just did this thing the other night, and regretted it as I was doing it immediately, because worse than our podcast, even, I just said all kinds of horrible things that I should never divulge about things I've done in my past, like just stupid drunk stories, going to jail, all kinds of shit like this. But it made me think, I've had some pretty fucked up moments, but I've never fallen asleep in a piss trough. I mean, wow, if there's ever a time to say maybe I have a problem and I should stop drinking, that's the moment. That is the moment.
It's a good thing there wasn't iPhones back then or anything like that.
Oh man,
nobody was camera ready. Not too many people were camera ready back then.
One of the questions that I ask in the interviews, and pretty much all the interviews, is, do you think the back room would be around today if it had social media, if it had the power of the internet, or did it have its time and place? And, some musicians, some people, they respond with yes, I think it could be around today, because I think people would, build a following behind it. And so, and the other people are, the other half are saying, there's no way. It had its time and place. It was its magical time, and I'm kind of glad that it was its own magical time, and I'm glad that we didn't have cell phones, because I don't want a lot of that documented, of those days. I'm glad that there weren't cell phones, because a lot of that shit I couldn't get away with now,
Isn't it interesting that it was only 15 years ago, right? Yeah. That it closed. So, it's not that, it is, but not really that long ago. And what a different world, though. You're right. No one had a fucking iPhone back then. Yeah. I probably we all had those little shit Nokias or whatever, right?
I don't think there's any cameras on the Nokias, right? The flip phone was probably the first
No.
one that had the camera.
Oh, dude, I used to get like a message of like someone would send me a picture and my whole phone would be full and I couldn't, and none of my texts would come. I would like have to delete
You had to
pictures and all of a
delete
sudden
something
like
just to see it.
I remember it being at lunch one time with a friend, right? And like I had just deleted a bunch of like pictures, and all of a sudden my phone like just started beeping and blowing up, and like I got like 40 texts, and he was like, "Jesus Christ, dude! Like I'm the most popular person on the planet." I'm like, "Oh no, literally, this is like every fucking text that has just been backed up for like 2 weeks because my phone couldn't receive
Didn't you have
new
to pay extra
information."
for those too? Like
I don't know. I don't even
opening them
remember,
up?
man. Oh yeah, no, all the roaming, all
Yeah.
that shit back then. That was all. You're right. Yeah.
So nobody would even open those
Oh,
or send
yeah.
them.
Yeah. And the quality was so bad, of like photos. It wasn't even worth sending dick pics back then.
We actually get a lot of
It's like
photos
an
of people
8-bit.
that
Check out my 8-bit dick.
that's our next documentary, 8-bit dick.
8-bit dick. Yeah, baby. How do you like this
We
rectangle?
We actually
rectangle
get
in
a
my
lot of
pants.
people that like right, Adam, we get a lot of people that send in photos like from the disposable cameras.
Oh yeah.
Like we get people are like, I've had people, one person sent me an actual disposable camera, like, and of course it was broken, and they were like, "Here you go, man, you can get all the photos off that. That's from that one show that I went to."
Oh,
I'm like,
God, wow.
Yeah, I'm not gonna develop that.
Fucking
But
Kodak from
That might
1993.
be like some
Yeah.
video in there though. You never know.
yeah, but like
It's like
every
half
once in a while,
backroom photos and half like weirdo
Yeah,
bondage
pictures of his
shit.
mom.
Oh man, dude! If
cat's
you
back
guys ever make a 8-pick dick,
8-pick
let me know.
dick.
I want to be an investor in that one.
that should
It's
be
gonna
the name
a
of this
short. It's gonna be
episode.
a short.
I didn't say base it on me. Come on now.
You should call this episode 8-bit dick.
Yeah, when I do the synopsis 3 years from now, we talk about film, 8-bit dicks.
Yeah. I'm glad I could contribute.
Serial killers.
Yeah, man.
You're
Like
That's
Vic,
what
you
Adam
just
does.
slide in
Yeah.
with those real zingers. Man, Vic had an episode a little while back where I was like, said, "So, what do you think, Vic?" Close it out, and he gave us that Jerry Springer final thought, and it was just like, it was deep. We were all just like, "Wow," and that's what you just did.
I think you were all drunk,
We were
too.
all drunk, but that's what you just did here, Adam. You gave us that.
I'm happy I could help.
I see why he's on the crew now. I see the value
Yeah.
this guy brings. Hear me out, guys. What if we went 8-bit on this? He has really unique ideas. So
This guy's going places.
what about music? I mean, you said metal and punk. Adam, I guess maybe you're in the same vein, or what are some of you guys' favorite
Hair metal
favorite
for me
bands?
started it for me because I listened to all my sister's music. So I go into her room. So I'm listening to Skid Row, and Pariah was one of the bands.
Fuck yeah, dude!
Dangerous Toys was
30th
one of the bands.
30th year of 30-year
Slave to the
anniversary of
Grind.
Slave to the Grind today.
Yes, Monkey Business.
Yes, dude. My fiance posted a video of her playing bass of that song today. I'm very proud of her.
Doesn't
In
it?
a weird, crazy way, like we met and had this bizarre Skid Row connection. Like she had a nose chain in, and I was just like, I wish I could say it was at the back room, but I don't. She's one of those people that was probably like 4 years old. But like I was like, whoa, what the fuck's going on here? I'm like, we started talking about Skid Row, and I'm like, you're kidding, because she's like, younger than me, but I was like such a big Skid Row fan. Like when I started playing guitar in high school and stuff, and like Slave to the Grind was one of those big albums for me, like Appetite for Destruction and all that. It came out right there. I think that came out in 90 or maybe 91 when all that great shit was happening, right?
Slave to the
the
Grind,
end of hair
91,
metal,
and,
the beginning of grunge, all that. And I was just like, I used to tell people, like, how random is this? Because people now, like, kids now probably wouldn't even know, but I was like, I told people, like, Rachel Bolin was my uncle. So that was like the
that
joke.
earring from the nose to his
The nose
ear.
chain. And me and my buddy
Yes.
Dave, we made these fake
You
little
know he
nose
got that
chains
cut
and
on
wore
his
them to high
base
school.
every night.
Oh, dude. Yeah, totally. But she just did she did a video where she's got a nose chain. By the way, like, this is standard podcast. Like, here we are talking about this, and then when this is finally out, people are like, that was like 4 months ago when that was the 30th anniversary of that.
The vault, opening the vault.
Yeah, dude, Skid Row. But yeah, I know, dude. I bet I don't know all those bands. What are some others? Let's geek out on 80s rock.
Motley Crue for me for sure was one of my first shows, 1990, Frank Rowan Center. I have my sister again, right? She's
When
like
Vince Neil could sing.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he ever could, right? But
He could at least like make noise.
I sung the songs for him, and loud enough so I didn't need to hear it.
That's the thing, right? Yeah. He's just like, hey, this is Vince Neil at every show. You sing it.
If they would have given me the mic, if I was close enough, I would.
Oh, you could have had your Mark Wahlberg rock star moment, dude.
Stand up and shout for sure.
Yeah, dude. Motley Crue, yeah.
Yeah.
I was big into Megadeth and Metallica.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And Tool. I like Tool. Adam's the biggest. He's a huge Tool fan as well.
I'm a total Tool for Tool.
Tool
for Tool. There's a lot of Tools that go to the Tool shows. I can tell you that. I don't know if I'm one of them. But I could possibly be.
No, you're not. It's only if you like play. I don't know, and I don't want to like say, because there's obviously like they're a great band, and Metallica's a great band, and what's his name, Dana Carey's a phenomenal drummer, and Cliff Burton was a phenomenal band. But I've met a lot of people over the years that are like, oh yeah, Tool, Dana Carey, specifically the drummer, and then like with Metallica, I'm no Cliff Burton, but I like this, and then you meet, and then they play, and you're like, wow, you're definitely not Cliff Burton actually, and you don't know how to tune your instrument, and you're terrible, so please never take that out of its case again. Yeah, but I've met a few people like that. I finally saw Tool for the first time a few years ago at the Cedar Park, whatever the hell up there.
Show. Yeah.
Fucking badass, dude.
2014.
So good. Yeah. So good live. I got stoned as hell, which made it even better because when they came in and did the second set and the visual, it's just fucking great. I think Adam Jones does all that too, right? Doesn't, because he's a film guy, an effects guy, right?
Yeah, he did like Jurassic Park, Terminator 2, stuff like that.
Nuts. That's unbelievable. Damn. What a career, man. I really, really briefly met that guy, and he was like super cool and nice too. He was actually literally like, "Oh, hey, I'm Adam," and I was like, "How cool is that?" He wasn't like, "I'm Adam Jones from Tool, worship me." Yeah, he was like, "Cool."
Tool actually is in the documentary, not through an interview, but like we have footage of Tool. They actually opened up for Rollins Band.
Fucking A, at Backroom? That's crazy.
At Backroom. It was like, what, 91?
Oh, my God. Yeah, 91, 92, something like that.
Was that Undertow, or was that pre-Undertow? Was that
Opiate even? I think it was pre-Undertow.
They just recorded it because Henry Rollins is on Undertow, so that's when they became friends. So it must have been right when they started touring for that.
And we have footage of Henry Rollins out by the bus, and then Rollins is like, he talks to the camera and he says his little Henry Rollins thing, and then he motions away, and then he walks away. And then so he's walking towards the bus, and then out of nowhere, you see Mater kind of just jump into frame and like do a woo kind of crazy ass face. And at the time, people were like, "Who is this fucking guy?" Like, and it was,
get out of Henry Rollins' frame, you nobody loser. He'll never amount to
exactly.
anything.
You're like, yep, no, that was Tool. So
wow, that's incredible, dude. I love that old school Tool stuff too, man. I really love Opiate and Undertow. Like those are.
I love Undertow. Undertow's.
Yeah, dude. I remember when they came out and the video for Sober, and I was like, "Who the fuck are this? Is weird."
I love that video, man.
I do too. I love it. And then I saw their album artwork, and I was just like,
and then Kurt Cobain's weird. Like, that's just like some Brothers Quay, Because that's apparently they ripped off Brothers Quay for the videos for Sober Prison Sex.
I had never even seen anything like that before. Yeah. Wow.
One of my biggest influences that I didn't actually name. Scorsese, the big, everybody like that. But one of my biggest influences that I can't believe I actually forgot him is Samuel Bayer. And I don't know if you guys know who Samuel Bayer is, but he is big time filmed music video director from the 90s. Oh. So he did like the Cranberries Zombie video. He did Until It Sleeps from Metallica. He did Bullet with Butterfly Wings by Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah, so he did a whole slew of like 90s and 2000s music videos that are just Marilyn Manson, and he was huge, and I love his stuff. Like, he is one of those guys where, man, if I got nothing going on a Friday night for some reason, and I'm at home, and for some reason my kids aren't home and my wife's not home, I get stuck into a wormhole of watching 90s music videos. Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
dude, that was so
You
fun
know?
back in the day when there was actually a music channel. Now you go down the YouTube rabbit hole, but we actually got to see that stuff on the front end. It was like so exciting, like just watching a show, and all of a sudden, that video comes on. Like, I mean, there's tons of them we could talk about, but one I always loved was you cited some that are great that I love, but. Remember the Nine Inch Nails? Well, not 9 Inch. David Bowie with Trent Reznor. I'm Afraid of Americans.
I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of Americans.
I love that fucking video and that cover. It was so badass.
Is that the
dude.
Underworld soundtrack?
Was it on a movie? Was it?
It was just a single.
Yeah, I thought it was a single.
But I remember because they started kind of like in the video, like everybody's like pointing like fake guns, like finger guns to each other, kind of thing. And they're like. David Bowie's running around scared, and Trent Reznor's chasing him, and I'm afraid of Americans. You know, it's like
so good.
Oh, I love it.
So
I love
good.
it. It's great.
I have
so good.
Dude. Speaking of fucking VHS, I have an old VHS tape somewhere where I would just record, so I have that video and like some Alice in Chains and just whatever, right? I just had all these Ozzy, No More Tears, shit like that.
Oh, I love
that was
Ozzy.
a good video too.
That was one of, besides Megadeth, Metallica, Ozzy was another one of huge. I mean, the No More Tears album. I've been on the hunt to find No More Tears on vinyl because it's a really rare piece. Believe it or not, No More Tears on vinyl. Countdown to Extinction from Megadeth is also a rare find on vinyl. I mean, you can find them. For 300, 400 people are selling for $300, $400. But
speaking of iconic videos, hello me,
meet the real me, meet the real expensive me,
meet the real expensive me.
Oh god, oh shit! But man.
That second Mars Volta album's really hard to find too.
Francis the Mute.
That
actually surprises me. Are you talking about original? Because you're not.
Not the.
It seems
not
like
a first press, but
it seems like they would still be manufacturing. Updated vinyl. That's bizarre.
They repress.
Really?
Yeah. They did a repressing of the first one. The what is that one called?
The original, the first Megadeth album, "Killing Is My Business."
Mars Volta.
No. First Mars Volta.
Switch.
But yeah, I can't find Francis the Mute anywhere.
You can't find that 24-minute song. Oh my god, I can't make it through that.
Hey Vic, the thing you sent me the other night, is it Draft Tongue Orchestra? Is that the one that has one of the dudes from Mars Volta in it, or am I wrong on that super group?
No, that one's got one of the guitar players from Mastodon, and it's got William Duvall from Chains, and then I can't remember who the other dude was. But then the second one I sent you with William Duvall, they did the Rusty Cage cover, but that was a Charlie Benante thing.
Oh, that was a one-off.
That was a one-off, but he had the other guitar player
Mastodon?
from Mastodon.
So Mastodon, I just recently, I have some of their older records, and I'd seen them and heard them and everything, but I recently just started really diving in, and I really liked some of their newer stuff where they started getting really melodic, and the drummer started saying really great stuff. And holy fuck, dude, I think they've got some brilliant music videos, man. I don't know if you've seen many Mastodon music videos, but everyone I've seen, I'm like pretty impressed, man. They're pretty cool. I would recommend checking them out.
I was telling Boudreaux, I'm busy watching Pluto these days. All I'm watching is old shit. I don't know. I just don't have the attention span for anything new right now. I can't. My mind can't sink into anything and get stuck on anything. So I'm watching like Price is Right, the Real World with Puck in it or something like that. The Puck years.
I do like the old game. I love the old game shows. When you guys were talking earlier about this, seeing these horror movies when you were little kids, like one of my great memory for me was my grandmother loved horror movies.
That's awesome.
And she loved all the old school stuff and the Bela Lugosi Dracula and all the old school.
Very cool.
But I used to watch this kind of stuff. Like I remember staying with her part of one summer or something, and we'd always watch. Remember that show Tales from the Dark Side?
Yes.
Hell yeah, that was George Romero.
Yeah.
Really? I was like, there was this one particular episode, and I was like so fucking terrified the entire night. I like laid in bed, like afraid, like a creature was going to come out of the closet. Like, yeah, dude.
Tales from the Dark Side and Kolchak, the Night Stalker.
Oh, Darren McGavin. Yeah.
I don't know that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's older than Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
But dude, Tales from the Dark Side was great
stuff.
because they had a great intro, like
real
Tales
spooky.
from the Dark Side.
Oh, dude, the best,
That creepy
the best,
music
I
in the
know,
background.
right? And the music, I think when
Yeah.
you come to horror and back to Unsolved Mysteries. So Tales from
Yes,
the Dark
the
Side, which I
music.
can't remember right off the top of my head. I mean, Tales from the Crypt wasn't really scary, but it was just wicked and cool. Like
It was
that,
a funny-
Tales from the
It's
Crypt
fun.
was such a great, funny, scary, and the music kicks ass. That whole intro, the music, the way they go down. I mean, dude, that is just brilliant. I mean, I think the intro to that show, to any of these shows, I think was so good. It sucked you in and made you want to watch the show. And those are all classic shows. But like, I'm glad they kind of kept the theme from Unsolved Mysteries, right? I mean, pretty much,
Yeah.
you know, the kind of, but that old, I was watching a ton of those. I was in San Francisco a few months ago with my fiance, and we watched several Unsolved Mysteries of the old ones. And it was weird because there must have been a season in the middle where they changed the theme music, and then I can imagine like people were like, "Boo!
It's
What
like
are you
they
doing?"
switched
Like,
from classic to
yeah, and it's just all of a sudden it was just different. I was like,
The
"What the
flavor.
hell's going on?" Like, yeah, exactly. It was just
something
like
bad
not right
taste
at
in your
all.
mouth for sure.
And it wasn't like it was bad, but it just wasn't as good. It wasn't as
remember
iconic. And I like Unsolved Mysteries in particular. That the music alone of that show when I was a kid was so
It's terrifying.
sinister. I would like
Yeah.
get up and like see if the door was locked. I mean, it just like
Yeah.
terrified me, but in an exciting kind of way. But
Yeah, shit like
yeah, so those old kind of shows and like old '80s game shows, dude. I used to watch those.
Pressure
and have you
Luck.
seen like Pressure
Pressure
Luck
Luck.
is
Pressure
back?
Luck, I know.
It's
They're all
fucking back, and it's
they're all back. They can't leave the shit
awesome.
alone, man. The 80s and 90s.
well, dude.
Card Sharks.
Card Sharks is another really good one. Well, now they've got it's like the rerunning the old Pressure Luck, which are fucking great, and there's the new one, which I think. Oh man, what's her name?
She's
Host
from
super hot chick.
Mary and does a porno? What's her name?
Oh yeah,
Zach and Mary do a porno?
yeah. It's Elizabeth
Yes. Yeah,
Banks.
yeah.
There you go.
Banks.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I always think of her in 40-year-old version.
Yes.
But yeah, and same with dude, another one, $25,000 pyramid or
Pyramid?
$100,000, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Isn't that like? Is that one of the ones that Michael Strayhorn hosts? Or because
Yes.
he's in a
The football player,
he's in,
yeah.
he's in a bunch of shit. He's on like daytime,
Well, he's not on the
daytime
talk
show.
I think he does the game.
Good Morning America or some crap. But he might have done
Yeah.
that
I
one
think
too. Or
Nickelodeon even did the Double Dare and stuff like that.
oh
They
wow,
brought
yeah,
that back.
Double Dare.
Yeah. So.
My wife watches Supermarket Sweep, the remake
yes.
of that.
Oh, with Leslie, what's her
Go
name?
for the meat.
Leslie Jones.
Go for the meat.
yeah.
Oh, dude, you gotta go get those turkeys and those garden hoses. That's your
The
fucking
diapers.
ticket.
You gotta get the diapers.
Diapers.
Get the diapers.
I always thought that host was either just like the happiest dude in the world, or he was like gonna kill himself at any moment because it was just too much. Like, I've never seen a guy that excited about bad sweaters and groceries. Like,
That was a great show. I love that
it
show.
was a great
I miss
show,
that show.
dude. I've watched,
I miss that show.
especially last year, right when we were all just sitting around.
Yes.
I watched so many like fucking game shows and just dumb shit, Netflix documentaries, and
Weren't you watching
yeah.
Faces of Death the other day, Boudreaux? Because I remember those videos.
I remember
That was.
And they were like supposed to be legal or something. You know, we weren't supposed to be
No,
watching
that
them.
seems really
So-
morbid.
It's supposed to be real.
So I was watching Faces of Death. I was doing a rewatch on it because I just finished a shoot. I was doing a music video for this band called the Immortals, and they're kind of like a horror punk band. And so they did a cover of Dead Man's Party,
Love that song.
and it's like a hardcore punk version of Dead Man's Party. So I was like, hey, for the music video, I kind of want to do a house party crossed with images of Faces of Death. So that's what we did, and that's what we shot. And so we kind of did.
Looks amazing.
I'm really happy. The crew over there. Actually, I have the reason I'm so overdressed right now with all this jacket and stuff is I actually have a film screening I have to go to right after this with those guys for another horror film I've been working on with them, and they're really great. It's called their production company is called Horror Web Productions, and they do amazing work, and they don't use like little Halloween makeup that you buy at Walgreens. Like they have effects and prosthetics and coagulated blood. And we actually, like, for the video, one of my ideas was, I mean, you all seen Faces of Death, right? You guys?
Yeah,
I know what it is. I don't know if I've ever watched it, but yeah.
Well, like pretty much the most famous scene out of that film is the monkey table dinner scene, right? So, and if you don't know what that is, yeah. So what they do is in the documentary in Faces of Death, they actually go to India, and there's some American tourists there, and for a fee, they can sit around a dinner table, and there's a monkey that's locked by his head into the table, and for a fee, they have the pleasure of bashing the monkey's head in and then eating the brains as a delicacy kind of thing. It's all fake. It wasn't real. They used cauliflower for the brains. It was a fake monkey, you know.
But it was like Blair Witch of its days. Everybody thought it was real.
It was, yeah, everybody thought it was real.
That's a great example of what an amazing...
Yeah, great marketing.
Great marketing. Sorry,
go ahead. So what we did for the music video was, I said, well, how about we recreate the famous monkey brain scene, but instead of a monkey, we'll use a random, actor person, and we'll actually, and you guys, the band, will actually bash this guy's head in and
that's
and
fucking
eat his
amazing.
brains and stuff.
Please send a link. Is that done or not?
It's in production now.
Okay,
so
cool.
it's in editing. It's in post production now, rather. So it's kind of one of those things where we were getting blood all over ourselves because, these guys, and their whole shtick is, it's a girl lead singer who's like this big, tall, redhead witch, and the rest of the guys are like vampires. So the whole gag is that this witch and vampires are recreating the dinner table scene, and they're banging this guy's head in, and they eat the brains and stuff like that. But we had like blood flying everywhere. This is something that I'm really proud of. One thing that I really wanted to do was I really want to have an autopsy scene, but I want the corpse on the autopsy table to be fresh, like he had just been recently autopsied, and I want him to be alive in the music video. So I want the band to kind of have like lab coats and kind of be, and the girl kind of singing as the autopsy is kind of going on, kind of thing, and through a couple connections, we actually got a real autopsy table for the music video. So there's a legit autopsy table that we got from this one guy had it. He got it from the Austin State Mental Hospital.
Oh, wow.
And it was like a legit metal autopsy table that we used for the shoot. And this actor kid that we had laid down with like the Y incision and laid down on the table without a shirt on and stuff. I'm like, holy shit, this one brave kid. And you could see in the table like all the bins and compartments where like, fluids would run to, and where they kept certain parts of it, and it was in our music video. So like that's why and Adam can attest to this as well, is like when it comes to this kind of stuff, when it comes to production, when it comes to film production, whether it be a music video or a commercial, we don't half-ass it. We really pride ourselves on that, and especially when it comes to the documentaries. So that's why we really put forth a lot of effort on every single shoot, on every single edit, whether it be a music video, a commercial, online thing, or a live music performance. We've been doing a lot of those recently, where we've been shooting live musical performances. So we're really happy doing it. We're really passionate about it. So
you're getting that attention.
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know what it was. It seemed like it subsided.
There's a buzz in the air.
There's a buzz in the air. That's right, man. This is electric. It's electric. You know what you made me think of when you were talking about autopsies, and this is an interesting film reference, right? You guys know that black and white, weird, creepy Roswell thing where they're like cutting open that alien and it's like the hoax and all that. I always thought that was such that being a hoax, what an amazing video. Whoever did that did a great job, because it's creepy and weird, and do you
guys know who Stan Winston is?
Hold on. Maybe you're Boudreaux. Maybe that's you. It seems like when you started talking, you got crackly.
Hello.
Jiggle a wire. Maybe you got a wire that's just a dirty cable or some shit.
Oh. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Better.
That's better. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
there
What
we
were you
go.
saying?
Well, Stan Winston is the guy that came up with like the Predator, the Predator
fuck yeah.
outfit.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of those. Like he did like the Harry and the Hendersons, and oh no, that's Rick Baker. But he did a lot of huge like makeup effects in the late '80s, early '90s. They got him in that Alien and Autopsy show so that he could be like, I've seen some makeup in my day. I've seen some effects. This has to be real. And they got him to give a testimonial to say that alien was real.
Like he thought it was not a hoax. He thought that was legit. I mean, it looks fucking amazing.
I don't know if he got paid to do that or what.
Probably.
But he was
Yeah.
he was
I
in
can't
it.
Imagine it was an actual real alien, but it looks
No,
great.
it was fake. It was fake. But it was good. It was well done.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
watching that live. I remember watching that on TV. Like I think it was like a Thursday night on Fox. And then don't miss Alien Autopsy this Thursday.
Dude, speaking back to, which this wasn't that long ago, but back to the 80s and all that, there was a thing that an infomercial they used to run all the time, and it lasted forever, and it was all this. It would show like a guy astral projecting and weird grave, just all this kind of weird stuff, and it was like this Time magazine. So I can't remember what
Time
it was.
Life Books.
Is that what it was? Yes.
Do you have one?
I remember those fucking commercials, man.
I got this one here.
That's it.
Nice.
Oh,
Yes.
Phantom Encounters.
yeah.
God, that's awesome.
I got let's see what else I
Britannica.
have. Yeah.
Right? Nobody needs that shit anymore.
Hauntings.
That's, those are
Hauntings.
awesome. I remember that shit.
Oh, that's it.
Mysterious
Yeah, I
creature.
remember seeing that
God.
image. Wow,
I forgot all about those.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've
Time
ever
Life Books,
actually
man.
met anybody that had those, but that's pretty killer.
the first
So what did you
thing.
do? Get a subscription to that or something, or how did that work?
No, dude. I found those on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
So ordered it back in the
Amazon,
80s.
baby.
Dad, I really want this. Why did I have to show him? Why did I have to show him that horror movie when he was 5? Now he's like.
Traumatized for life.
Meanwhile,
No, man.
Adam, you're screaming in the bathtub like
Yes. I traumatized
because there's
myself.
red lighting.
They don't leave me alone with my thoughts.
Well, that goes for any of us.
Well.
That's the most dangerous thing you can do. Look at what happened to that Cecil Hotel girl. Jeez.
Yeah, no shit.
Awkward
y'all hear me?
pause as we.
Hello. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're good now. We don't hear crap. I love that arcade game you got back there, man.
Mortal Kombat.
Thank
Is that
you.
two?
It's one. Let me see. 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, the trilogy.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, we're gonna have to break that in when.
Arcades used to be. I don't think arcades are a thing anymore.
No, not at all.
I'm sure they're not a thing anymore. But yeah, that was like a cool fucking
Well,
80s.
besides pinballs and stuff like that.
Right. Pinballs, I guess. I always liked
Places
pinball
like that.
machines. Yeah.
Well, they had the arcade games there too.
I mean, where did you even go to do that anymore, right? Like,
What?
I think Double Dave's has one. the old
well,
Simpsons.
pinballs.
Go to pinballs.
There's a place called Pinballs.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they have all
There's
the
2 of
arcade.
them now,
Like
3 of
half
them.
of them are arcade games and half of them are pinball. Something like that. And you could drink and everything. Great.
Well,
Because the people that remember those games, they are allowed, they're the age to drink now. So
Yeah.
right? Yeah. That'd be a fun place to do an interview. You get all mad during
We
the
tried
interview.
to see if they actually had some of the games.
Trying
from
to
the
play a
back
pinball
room
game.
there.
Yeah,
right?
I looked into
'cause-
that to see if they had some of the old video game arcade games that was in the other side of the back room. And I haven't.
Did
really
y'all?
gotten
You have
much
any idea?
information out of it.
You don't really. You have no idea what happened in any of those.
I tried. No one. Yeah, couldn't get.
a lot of them got taken. So the guy that owned the back room, his name's Ronnie Rourke. He actually owns the warehouse now. Or he still does. He's also the same owner of the warehouse. And so he took a lot of those games, and whatever he didn't sell for parts, he just took them into other businesses and whatever. So he kind of just dissolved as much as he could. But a lot of the employees ended up taking a majority.
Oh, that's cool.
A majority of what was left. So, a couple weeks ago. Oh, Adam, we should talk about Ricochet.
Yeah, I'm surprised O'Shea didn't have one of those. Video games.
So this one guy, his name's Rick, and he goes by Ricochet. And he kept on trying to get a hold of us because he said, well, you guys need to come down and see my rock and roll museum. And so we were like, okay. And we finally, after a lot of coordination, we went to him, and we went to his place down in South Austin, and he had maybe like three carports.
Yeah, 3
and
back
a
rooms all
trailer.
connected that you had to go down hallways. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, and he like just had posters and just gear, like he had counters like from like pawn shops that was just all filled with stuff. He had like Stevie Ray Vaughan's like Coke vials, and he had like just T-shirts and like amps and mixers
Panties.
and panties. And so he actually had a lot of the gear from the back room. And he actually, now granted, his music collection was from all over the place, all over Austin, all over the world kind of thing. But he had like sections here and there that were dedicated specifically to the back room. And so he actually, while we were there, he actually, he powered up one of the amps and he played Eruption by Van Halen. And he's like, I want to show you how loud it still is. And so he cranked it up, and I'm like, we can't use any of this. We don't have copyright to it, but whatever, go ahead.
Turn it up to 11, man.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. It was weird to see, it was exhilarating because I think that was one of those things that we went on a shoot to do that we weren't really knowing what to expect. But it's perfect for a documentary because that's what people want to see is who are these people that live like this, and who are the people that are this still captivated by to keep all of this stuff from a place that's been closed for 15 years,
Memorabilia and paraphernalia.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever he found in that speaker. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just leftover
or the trough.
Yeah, the trough.
Stuff.
He's got the trough urinal, but it's a display case now.
That would have been cool with some fake ice in it.
Yeah.
Yep, a little slightly miscolored. That would have been great.
Here, feel free to grab stuff out of there. We're good. I don't want to mess anything up.
Okay. I've got one of the stalls.
There's some prizes down there. Trust me.
A lot of history in that trough.
Yeah.
That was one of those fun shoots that it was like I looked at him and I was just like, what did we get ourselves into? like we're gonna get out of here alive, yes?
Yes.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
We'll
just go down that other staircase.
Yeah, he's like, go down that
more
hallway.
down there.
Just take a left. I mean, it's back there. Just keep going to the left. Stay to the left, though. That's kind of like
unsolved mystery music starts playing in your head.
It's like sloth back there.
So you're hearing,
I'm pretty sure he had the phone I'm pretty sure he had the 8-bit dick on there.
8-bit dick. And that landline, right? I don't know.
Yeah, on the landline.
Oh man, who the fuck? Do you guys have a landline? Who the hell's used? I don't think I've had a landline since I moved to Austin.
He was working half through Pedernales Electric, and half he rigged it up himself, MacGyvered it to get like half. Yeah.
Man.
Oh, that's true because he didn't believe in cell phones or something like that.
Oh
right?
wow, so he's just a true weirdo.
Yeah, he had foil on the antenna outside.
God bless those kind of people that do all that because I would be like a collector, but really I'm just a hoarder with mounds of trash. And if it's like, what was that really cool flyer from whatever, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't treat anything with any sort of care or value whatsoever. I'm just like, oh, where was that really cool memento? It's in a drawer somewhere. I forgot about it.
I don't know. I was eating off of it. It's over there.
Oh yeah, just dust the crumbs off of that old.
That's
I'm actually using Stevie Ray Vaughan's file
to the trash.
No reason I can't still use this Coke file. Man, that's wild, dude. So, and this guy found you guys. Did he just hear about the documentary and contact you?
Yeah, he just heard about the documentary, and I think because we had actually interviewed one of the sound guys, and his name's Phil. He goes by Phil the Pirate, and so I don't know if you remember him, but he would dress like a pirate, like to run sound. Like
really, because I remember a pirate band that used to play there called Jolly Rogers.
Jolly Rogers. So he was a singer of that band.
Okay.
So
I never knew he ran sound there. That's interesting.
Yeah, he ran sound at the back
they played there all the time.
Yeah, And so we interviewed him, and he was an entertaining. I mean, his interview was entertaining as shit, you know.
Yeah.
And so Rick found out, well, you guys interviewed Phil, the pirate. Why don't you come check out my rock and roll museum? So, but he would also tell us, now don't call, like, I don't wake up till 4:00 in the afternoon. He said, you need to call me.
Before, not after 5 or something.
Yeah. And he goes, I go to bed at 3 or 4 in the morning. So, I'm a night creature. So that's how I function.
He literally parties in the back room still.
Yes.
That's what he does. He's
recreated
recreated his own back room.
Exactly.
Then he just goes and...
Exactly. Till
He
3
cranks
o'clock,
it up.
until they kick him out, or he kicks him out.
Wow. He kicks himself out, drags himself to the next room.
Passes out
Damn.
the trough.
It's pretty... it's pretty... I bet he's one of those
We can make
trough
trough
sleepers.
hammocks. Merch. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. Like,
Trough hammocks.
is that something you guys think about, too? Do you even
All the
think
time.
about that kind of stuff? Really? Okay.
Well, I do it.
Yeah. I mean, and then we do have a live show coming up in July. What is it, Adam? July 16th, I think
I
it
believe
is?
so, yes.
Friday, July 16th. We're actually getting a couple bands together to play a show at Come and Take It Live.
Cool.
And we're actually doing a free show, and we're going to be accepting donations for all night long. We're actually going to have our first real wave of merch come in. So there's going to be a limited edition amount of merch, of film merch for Bloody and Bruised, and we're going to be accepting donations all night long, so that all the donations taken will be going directly into the film to help fund the production of the film. And then we'll be doing a second show in September with a couple more bands. So a lot of these bands were bands that actually played at the back room. And so they're actually reuniting or playing again just for us, to do this.
Do you already have those lineups? I'm curious, or is it like a secret thing, or I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I think the July show has Cactus Brigade, Brutality Incorporated, Tarantula Mountain, and Stone Dakota. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I hadn't heard that name in a long time. Yeah. Brutality. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then September, do you have a date for that one yet or not?
September 20-something. I think it's 24th, something like that. It's late September, so I think it's a Friday night as well. So what we're doing is that we're actually going to have cameras there, and they're actually going to roll on some of these bands that played.
Yeah, sure.
And so my idea is that we're going to have a couple of these bands, and we're going to show people in the crowd and kind of getting back to normal, and all these bands that used to play the back room.
Yeah. Vic and I can stand there and drink, and that would simulate our role.
And so my idea is that this will kind of be the end of the movie. It'll be the end of it'll be kind of like they've come full circle. They kind of worked their way up through the back room, told their story, and now this is the end where they're kind of all reuniting to do one last show just for us.
All-Star Jam.
Yeah,
that's killer. I gotta put that date in my calendar, man. I'll be there. Come and take it. You said, that's cool. Very cool.
They'll be hosting most of the shows, correct, Boudreaux?
Yeah.
I mean, good place to do it. You got a good stage, good sound, good. Yeah, I love that. So
place. we definitely have 2 shows for sure.
Cool.
And we might have a third one in January, I think. So, a lot of people are, like I said, man, a lot of people are really excited to be part of this film. So we're really hoping that, especially in July, it'll be our first one. So we're going to get a lot of good people out there to kind of help us fund this film, because we're in the middle of we're working with our other co-producer Tammy Moore, who was actually a booker at the
Tammy,
back room.
absolutely.
Yeah.
She was always on the scene back. Yeah.
So Tammy is one of the co-producers on our film.
Okay.
So she's helping us from the back end so that we can get investors, or rather contributors, and get this film funded, so that we can pay for the crews and the reenactments and editing and the legal and all that shit. So
you got producers, and then I don't know if there's executive people in an executive production capacity funding, but did you do any kind of crowdfunding on the front end, or is that where you're kind of at a point now where we're like, hey, we got to get some additional funds, and that's why you're doing these deals? Or
we're if we haven't done a legit crowdfunding online experience, because we are doing these live shows, so we're going to do live show, and then a possible third live show.
Right.
But because we need to fund the remaining shoots, You know what I mean? And finish the shoots. Once we go into the post-production process and the edit process and the music rights and all that stuff, that's when we'll need that. I think that's when we'll actually do a legit, crowdfunding, either Kickstarter, Indiegogo, what have you. So that's at least that's the plan for now.
Cool. Very cool, man. Yeah. Well, hey, man, I'm stoked to get out there. Vic, let's put that in the calendar, man. Roll out to come and take it.
We can go pass out in the trough.
Pass out and come and take a trough. Yeah,
we might bring like a little
we should just take a trough. Be like, we really wanted to simulate. What was that?
You might bring like a little model, like
a scale model
to scale. It only fits one person.
Just travel around with your own personal urinal. Like, it's the only way I'm comfortable. Hell, if I could, I would. Rob and I had an idea one time. I mean, probably Rob's idea, but I mean, as big guys who clog toilets, just putting that out there. Like
courtesy flush, bro.
Dude. Oh, even with a courtesy flush, I can clog a toilet with toilet paper for fuck's sake. I got to flush the toilet 400 times when I go to the bathroom. It's ridiculous. But the idea of having I think this is genius. Having a fucking, this could be a job like Uber, but it's like a dude just rolls around town with like a fucking porta potty.
Oh, wow.
Kind of situation, or I don't know. I can't remember. I'd have to revisit the notes. But
that sounds like $1 million idea right there.
I really think so. I mean, if you're at you can have you're at a bar and it's one of those emergency situations. Call somebody, they roll up, and you just go have a nice clean shit, outside and the comfort of your own stall. None of this back room, no walls, kind of no doors situation.
Right.
I think
that reminds me of my app I came up with. I almost forgot about it. There's a poop app where you can go to all these places that have the best toilets. There's an app that tells you where to go take a shit.
That's a great idea.
Brilliant.
If you're downtown, which one has doors, which one has the stalls? Toilet.
Damn,
so dude, I ran into so many places with curtains or whatever, no toilet seats.
I remember sharing a warehouse when I was out in LA.
Crap app. That's what it was called. Crap app.
The crap app. That's brilliant.
And it was just going to be called
That's
crap.
Absolutely brilliant. Yes. Man, we should all get together and just powwow these ideas. And
I think we would have some good ones at the end of the
night. We'll have to start up some LLC with some kind of innuendo shit name.
Crap.
Yeah, man. Crap app.
Crap app.
With two P's.
What's up with this crap app? Oh, is it terrible? No. I'm trying to find out where to take shit right now. Like I'm really.
It's
that would be the thing too,
sir.
right? If your app didn't work very well, man, this app is so shitty. Literally.
There's another one I had. It was called Bosom Buddies, where you can actually, instead of like Facebook, meet up with people that just want to have drinks, and if you're then have your partner in crime for the night. Not like I don't know. Maybe there's the Tinder and the dating apps, but it's more of a bosom buddy. And I guess it could lead to something
like a prostitution app, but with an 80s TV show title.
It wasn't better than my crap app, obviously.
No, your crap app is money. That's good stuff right there. I guarantee you, if I actually bother going downtown these days, which I really prefer not to, if I was downtown though, I would make sure that crap app was on my fucking phone. I'll tell you that much.
Man.
Hey, we got a good look at the shirt right there, man. I gotta get you one of these Czars shirts, dude.
Hell yeah!
For that, that was really cool.
That's one of the things that people are doing now, right, Adam? That they send us shirts and we wear them on shoots.
I got one right here.
Because there's Dave TV right there. So we wear the shirts on shoots after our interviews, and we kind of like, hey, shout out to so and so for the shirt and stuff.
Yeah, they help us. Nice. We help them. That's kind of what we do.
Cool. Let's talk. I'll go steal some of their merch and send it to you.
Hell yeah! I'm all about that. We're cross promoting.
Crossing the streams.
You'll get a box from me from like 10 bands and be like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
I dig it. I'm all about it. It's all networking, baby.
Dude, everything is networking in this business, and I love the crossover between all these businesses, and that's it's so cool doing this podcast and just you guys an example just with so many other people we've had on. It doesn't matter, filmmaker, musician, artist, whatever. Just because it's all kind of you're all sort of in the same, working in the same type realm, and so much of that is just the networking, the promotion, and meeting people, right?
And I think the important thing is that we're all creators.
Right.
We're all just creating, and we keep creating. And, that's what I've always told. I tell my interns, my students, and coworkers, and my crew. That's what I tell them, is that the important thing is that we just keep creating, and we keep creating and keep creating. Because if not, you're gonna get stale, and that's the number one bad thing that we can do. So as long as we keep creating, we'll be in a better world.
I was going to make a reference as to a shitty movie to say that would be your staleness, but nothing came to mind, which is crazy. There's a lot of movies I don't like. Before you go, what's a terrible movie?
Oh.
What's an example of a terrible movie?
Terrible that you love?
Well, that's where it's hard, right?
So
because
shitty,
some movies
good.
are... Yeah, there's a lot of those kind of movies. All those
So
great
shitty is
action, terrible, kung fu and all that. But what's just a movie that's just
right?
offensively
The
bad?
Room?
Yeah, Room.
Wait, The Room is a bad one, or legit?
Oh.
Is that the one that got brought up, Vic? Someone was talking about
they
that.
made a
It's
whole
supposed to
movie
be
out
horrible.
of it.
with Tommy Wiseau.
And there was a crossover
Tommy
between
Wiseau,
a guy in that movie and apparently what was a completely crowd-funded sequel to one of the worst movies ever made, which is actually like a bad, good Samurai Cop. But
Samurai Cop.
Dude, okay, let me tell you. I watched that with my fiance. We love bad movies, and we were like, wow, this is really bad. But it was like manageable. Then we watched Samurai Cop 2, and it was upsetting. Like, it was so bad. It almost made you, like, physically, like, it was like when I saw It's Pat back in the day. And you were just like, ooh, like, great as a 5-minute skit, not so much as an hour-and-a-half movie,
Samurai Cop. I love Samurai Cop.
The first one's pretty good. Part 2 is part 2 is so bizarre because it's just random as fuck. We were like, what in the hell is going on? Like, it's just... And then we realized at the end there's all these names. And we're like, oh my God, it was crowdfunded. And I bet you these people, they probably had, like, incentives where, like, you could write a scene or some shit. I shit you not, I think that's what happened. And it's fucking horrible.
It was like the
horrible
telephone where the story just gets worse, or as it goes along.
Yeah. And it just doesn't make any sense. It's just out of... Like, what in God's name's happening?
Which one was worse, Samurai Cop 2 or Jim Cotta?
Sarah got really upset with Jim Cotta. It didn't bother me as much. I think Samurai Cop 2 was just on. It was an absolute atrocity. What's that? Well, here's the thing. Even with Jim Cotta being a terrible movie, you have a guy that fights an entire army of homeless zombies or whatever the hell from a pommel horse. You got to give that some credit. What motherfucker sat around and said, all right, there's a gymnast who's going to have to learn karate and save the world. Like, this is what somebody woke up with that idea.
Combine it with gymnastics.
Yeah, it's going to like save the world fighting with like kung fu gymnastics, and that became the impressive part is it actually became a thing. Like,
somebody greenlit.
Yeah,
that.
like that's
I like it. Go.
You kind of got to give some credrit, really.
We
when something that horrible happens, it's like, well, they went through.
We have one guy on our crew, and he's usually been working a lot lately, like at his regular bartending job, but his name's Andrew Forbes, and he's one of my creative directors for Penny Rock, and he loves watching bad movies like this. And you can make a whole podcast with him just based on that subject alone.
You should get this guy on.
He would be excellent for that because he knows all of them. Jim Cotta, American Ninja.
I love American Ninja.
Best of the best. Oh, any Van Damme movie.
Oh yeah, Van Damme.
Best
Jesus.
of the best.
I mean, you talk about any Van Damme. Like he knows. He's like, you know how Tarantino's like the encyclopedia of films. Like Andrew Forbes, my buddy Andrew Forbes, our buddy. He's like the encyclopedia of bad films like that. I mean, he knows all of them.
The Adventures of Remo Williams.
Yeah. All of that. Street Fighter.
Oh, that's Van Damme in that one, isn't
in
it?
Peace with Dolph Lundgren.
Oh,
Dolph
yeah.
Lundgren,
Anything with Dolph
Lundgren.
Lundgren's usually gold, too, isn't it?
Yeah. He'll text me in the middle of the night saying, "Oh my God, I'm watching
Tokyo.
this." Brandon Lee.
Yes. Tia Carrere.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Vic, I think, had sent me a link of some Steven Seagal stuff. These guys, and so we went and watched a couple of these more modern Steven
Like the
Seagal,
later
which
Steven
are
Seagal.
hilarious because he looks like Wilford Brimley. And these guys were just there's this one where they were just talking about how he doesn't get out of his seat for the whole movie, and it's literally true. He just sits in a seat with a machine gun, full on gear, and another guy's like dying. He's like, "Help's coming soon." You know,
in the Steven Seagal
and then he like,
voice.
yeah, and then he like walks outside. The funniest part toward the end of the movie was I thought was really funny is like, and then they were like, whatever that YouTube link was that you sent Vic was really funny because these guys were just doing commentary on all these different clips of movies. It's fucking hilarious. Like one's called The Asian Connection. He's like studying, teaching martial art. I don't even remember that one, but this other one, it was Sniper Ops something or other, and
Sniper Special Ops,
right? And there's this part where, like, for some reason, like, they were talking about how, like, yeah, ever since he did Glimmerman, he's just talks like a black guy. And there's this part where, like, someone says something like, ask him something. He goes, "It's over there." And you're like, what? That's not Steven Seagal's voice. I couldn't stop saying that for like 2 weeks. It's just, oh, dude. Oh. Yeah, but Schwarzenegger, like Commando, it's like one of the greatest movies ever.
Commando's amazing.
It's just incredible, man. Yeah,
an action movie that has steel drums. Come on, like has a soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack,
it's beautiful
soundtrack. Well, you guys are film guys. You know about sound. Lady Hawk. That is one of the weirdest soundtracks ever, right? And because apparently someone was. No, that's Matthew Broderick, strangely enough. Michelle Pfeiffer, and I forget the other guy.
Pfeiffer.
The dude from Blade Runner, right, was the bad guy. But yeah, it's like these medieval, knights in shining armor, medieval time fights with like synth pop 80s music. It's really weird. It's just doesn't seem fitting.
Dude, yeah, you guys need to get Andrew Forbes on here.
Dude.
He'll talk 2 hours straight about all these movies. Like, he's great at this.
Down. Guys, thanks so much for joining us, man. This was really fun. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us.
And Boudreaux, so Adam Salinas, I'm assuming I'm getting your name correct.
Correct.
Boudreaux, how do you actually say your last
that
name?
Spanish
Partida?
class paid off.
Yeah, Partida.
Okay, cool. So Adam Salinas, Boudreaux Partida, here on account of John Ju, who I thought we were having, but he said something about a group, so I'm glad you guys were able to pop on here. And we'll hopefully see you at the show in July and actually even have the pod. I don't know, Vic, that might be pushing it. We're a good 2 months behind on everything. I'm hitting up people that we interviewed in like 1975, like, hey, our podcast is ready. Can you send us a photo? Cool.
Beautiful.
All right, guys. So check them out one more time. Penny Rock Productions.
Yeah, pennyrockproductions.com. You can also find us at facebook.com/Bloody Bruised Backroom.
Awesome. Cool, man. Cool deal.
Very cool.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, hang tight so we make sure this uploads. Once again, the Skunk Manhattan, Victor Ramos, and something. Who cares? Bye.
Good night.
The Ramones, Motorhead,
Dynamite Boy, Riddling Kids,
Near Dark,
Marilyn Manson,
Tool,
Pearl Jam,
Born to Lose,
Pantera,
Typo Negative,
Pariah,
Loco.
Dangerous Toys.
You just never know who you were going to see there.
A certain club called the Back Room for almost 30 years. And what we've been asking people to call in for is a backroom story. If you're not familiar with the Back Room, then just go ahead and hang up.
Backroom was a music venue that survived miraculously for more than 30 years.
You walk in that front door and you had the split.
If you went over to the left, you could go have some drinks and play some video games or pool.
If you went to the right, that was the live music side.
It was basically known as a hard rock heavy metal place in like the 80s and 90s.
The place looked and smelled like we did.
It constantly smelled like bleach.
hot dogs and old beer.
Piss, cigarettes, and vomit. You can imagine putting all that in a cup and going, ooh, that's the smell of the back room.
CBGBs and brownies and stuff in New York. It was our Sunset Strip of Austin. The Back Room was all of that wrapped in one venue.
Everybody else has that same thing that I want, to fucking rock.
Drink up, Back Room, I heard we sound better.
Literally carried the rock and roll scene for all of Austin.
I have to say that we have a lot of good talent happening out there right now.
They did country at one point.
We had a play set of 125 songs.
They've done hip hop.
Two Live Crew show brought in a whole different audience.
They weren't afraid of anything. If you can do a Pantera show, you're going to survive a Public Enemy show.
Best sounding club in town, period.
The kick drum busting you in the back and coming through your body and hitting the people in front of you in the face.
Every show I saw there I was deaf.
Your balls would be like...
It also had super cheap drinks. Got 10-cent drink nights on Friday nights.
Oh, have you ever played at the Back Room? Oh yeah, the pole. There's a fucking pole.
in the middle of the fucking stage.
One time we had to Vaseline it.
Whenever the asteroid hits Earth, there's gonna be that goddamn pole floating around there.
And then the bathrooms. Oh, the bathrooms. This place is gross.
But it was home.
Jason McMaster's from the Dangerous Toys.
Jason McMaster really had the rock and roll game down.
What are you gonna call your band? He says Dangerous Toys and click.
They were on MTV and they were on the radio.
Jason McMaster and Mark Geary from the band Dangerous Toys.
When I first moved to town, all I kept hearing about was the band Pariah.
We got signed at the Back Room.
That was a band that could have, should have, and would have, and they didn't. And it wasn't their fault.
Sims passed away, complete and utter shock.
That was crushing.
He was more of a friend than a GM.
He wanted to help bands.
There was a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs.
If a Motley Crue video could be real life, that's what the bathroom was like.
I remember a gunshot going off. The guy shot into the ceiling like 2 to 4 times.
Lots of people went to jail that night.
This guy comes up to try to get in the lighting booth, and I had a toolbox there. Hit him right in the head.
It was just chaos.
Welcome to the back room.
And I look over and like, oh, it's Tom Araya, dude.
And I got to sit next to Lemmy and watch him play these video games.
The same amount of people that were at the fucking back room were in my fucking living room.
Peter walks over to the mic. Shut the fuck up.
Once again, putting the back room on the map.
And if it wasn't for the back room, I'm not sure where my career would be.
That's what the back room was. It was like a dirty little girlfriend that your dad secretly wanted to be with. As your mom just called her that white puta. That's what the back room is, cochino.
All right, it's a big old cut.